That's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today, talking about emotions. Did you see the great man last week? I spoke about Bailey Smith from the Western Bulldogs Football Club. I was praising him last week because he was bringing the headbutt back to the AFL in a sport that's gone a little bit too pussy in the last few years because of, I'm going to say, corporate commitments. Last week, I was happy to see him bring the headbutt back in. Got a little Irish boy and just gave him a little whack in the head, gave him a little raspberry right on the forehead, and it was beautiful to see. I said, hey, how can this guy get any better? He's such a gun. He's so good looking. He's got the best mullet in the game. He can play the game well. He's just universally loved. He's gone out this week and one-upped himself, getting done as a professional athlete for getting a little bit on the cocaine, which, to be fair, is I think it's the drug of choice for many AFL footballers. But the problem he's found himself in is this one went viral on Instagram, and as a result, everyone in the world, including me, like we've all got an opinion on what's taken place. But he's there's a number of ways that you can look at this situation. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Bailey Smith, gun footballer here in Australia, and one of the things we know is he's dealt with some mental health issues over the last couple of years. He's been fairly open about it, and he's blamed his drug use on his anxiety. He's crippling anxiety, which is just making his life difficult. And like for anyone who's tried a little bit of cocaine, you've got to be careful with cocaine because some of the side effects are not just euphoria and feeling like you're the king of the world, but just crippling anxiety, paranoia, and psychosis. Just to chuck a spanner in the works. But the beauty with this guy and the beauty with this story is that everything he just touches turns to gold. Like you look at the news this week, it's just an absolute wet dream for them, because the truth is, who wouldn't want to have a face like this guy on the front of the news and talk about how, even though it looks like he's got his life together, he's dealing with this crippling addiction, this bad cocaine habit, and all of a sudden everyone in Australia, we're looking at him and going, man, like this really brings the game into disrepute. That's what everyone's worrying about. Truth is, the problem is, when a guy like that does cocaine, a 14-year-old kid goes, oh my God, like cocaine is a cool drug. If Bailey Smith's doing it, like what are we going to do? There's a few factors going on here, and it's been such an interesting one to watch because all of a sudden we know the news needs some stories. We know that Channel 7 needs to report on something, and when a handsome man like this gets his hands on some cocaine, we go, this is going to sell out stories all week. I've been sucked right into it. I'm not sure how many bags I've bought just through being on the pages that they've been advertised to me through hearing about this story, but it sucked me right in. And how can it not? But the best part about the whole thing is people are talking about, like, what do we need to do? Like, how do we help this athlete? Truth is, no one gives a shit about the athlete. We're all just looking for an opportunity to capitalize on what's happened to this poor bloke. He's dealt with anxiety. He's been caught with a little bit of drugs. The problem, through a week of listening to stories, it boils down to this. AFL players, if you're going to do cocaine, don't do it in public. That's literally what it boils down to, because couple of months ago, an ex-wife of an ex-footballer, Nadia Bartel, got caught doing cocaine off a plate, posted on Instagram, and her sponsors dropped her straight away. They said, no, okay, like we can't have this being associated with our brand. The reason Bailey Smith's onto a good thing is because he's been done with cocaine. Everyone's talking about it. And every one of his sponsors has stood up and said, you know what? All right, look, Coke's not a great look, but this guy's so bloody handsome. Look at his eyes. If you don't believe me, I was driving along the freeway the other day, and at the moment here in Melbourne, he's a main sponsor for like a Cotton On ad. And he's got him up on a billboard, and his pecs are out, his chiseled abs are out, his gorgeous eyes are out, his flowing mullet, which has been bleached, is out. And a couple of weeks, I didn't notice because I was looking at the car ahead of me. As we were driving along, though, I just saw my wife's head going like this. I go, sweetie, what are you looking at? She's like, nothing. I looked up and I go, oh my gosh, how can you not look? How can you not look? Cotton On, I know you got to sell product, but at the same time, you got to be careful with where you put these ads, because the truth be told is this is going to cause some car accidents. He's a gorgeous man. But that's when you know you're onto a good thing, isn't it? When you've been done for an illicit drug and your sponsors go, we can't take him away. We've sold so many jocks because of this guy. You're onto a winner. But what are you supposed to do with that? There's so many levels. Obviously, we've got to look out for the young kids who are playing footy. Truth is, we want them to aspire to be the footballer, not the drug taker. But those things, I mean, there's a couple at every team. If you're a footballer, who is it on your team? Maybe a whole team does it. You get out in the quarterfinal, you get out in the prelim every single year, and you go, well, this is the best day of the year because right now we can all go and get plastered on cocaine together because it's team building, it's bonding, and then if you get caught, you come out and you say it's because of mental illness. But the truth is, people just like the way it feels. They just like the way it feels. So let's just be honest. Bailey Smith, this is what people are worried about. They're worried about how cool you're making cocaine look. All right? I've never tried it before. I've never had any interest. I saw you with that bag and I go, you know what? I wanted to watch Scarface and I wanted to try cocaine. They're the two things. They're the only things that we're worried about. Truth is, his career is going to come back in no time because he got 2 weeks for headbutting. He only got 2 weeks for cocaine. So, as a start point, the AFL is not taking it too seriously. Like 2 weeks for something like that. You get 6 weeks for punching a guy in the face. Now, the story they're trying to tell is that cocaine is worse than punching a guy in the face. But if that was true, you'd be getting more time for your crime. So, Bailey says, watch this. I reckon this is going to be a blessing for his career because it's going to turn into a story of triumph, of overcoming, and one that I'm cheering for. So Bailey Smith, well done. Hey, you've upped yourself again this week. I don't want to come here next week because you've been done for, it's just all very Scarface, isn't it? If you start 1 week with a headbutt, which we spoke about last week, this week you've graduated to cocaine use. Next week, I'm nervous you're going to have a machine gun and you've joined a gang. All right? So just slow it down a little bit. Take your 4 weeks. Calm down a little bit. We're all cheering for you. AFL, come on now. Like, you can't even hide the fact that you're impressed by this story. It's kind of disappointing. Media out there, well, I'd be doing exactly what you do. Make the money on the story while you can because soon enough he's just going to be back to being your chiseled god of a man who can play football.